Hey guys, so today's update's gonna be a little different because there's like three things I want to talk about. The first will be like the normal update, then the second will be an explanation, and then the third, we'll see if we get into the third. I might just make that a separate video. But the first, the actual update. I got another letter today. It was really long. I really enjoyed reading it. I added it to my collection. The days have definitely been going by a lot quicker. Today, for the past couple days, I have not been able to sleep. No matter how much melatonin I take, I just can't fall asleep. Don't worry, I'm not taking an unsafe amount. But this morning, I tried going downstairs to my mom's bed after she went to work, because she goes to work at like, I don't know, she gets up at like 4:30 and goes to work at like 5 or something. Well, my dog Layla normally sleeps with her every night. Well, then when she goes to work, Layla comes upstairs and wants to sleep with me, so I wake up because she's whining and I put her in the bed. Well, last night, I put her in the bed, and then she got off the bed, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. Like, I got a little bit of sleep before that, but then I couldn't go back to sleep. Then I went back downstairs into my mom's bed and tried to sleep in my mom's bed because it's a lot comfier, and usually it's cooler in the room, and it's just easier for me to sleep. Well, I didn't get much sleep. However, it kind of started off me thinking about my dad. And I don't think it was because I was in my mom's bed, it's just that's when I started thinking about my dad. And that was kind of the start of it. So my dog's scratching, from the very beginning of the day when I officially woke up to kind of just throughout the day, I was just thinking about different things about my dad. And how much Michael's like my dad, and how much I miss my dad, and how much I'm lucky to have Michael, not as like a replacement, but as a new version. And it kind of sounds like daddy issues, and that's not what I'm talking about. He's not a replacement for my dad. It's just, I used to pray that I would get a man who treated me just like my dad treated my mom, and Michael's that person. Even though, obviously, things are different with the whole Michael chose the military, my dad didn't choose the military type of thing. They're still a lot alike, and Michael does put me as his priority for most things, and he does everything he can to make my life better, even if I can't see how it would. So I've just been thinking about that a lot, because he is just like my dad in so many ways, but also different enough to still make him and not my dad. So that's really what's been going on in my head. I took my dog to the groomers today, and oh my word, she was really okay. So Layla is the Chihuahua. She's really small, and she's really nervous only when she goes to the groomers, and the vet. So she's not nervous any other time except for the groomers and the vet. Well, I took her to the groomers to get her nails clipped and a Furminator because she was shedding so bad. Well, when I was holding her before I gave her off to the groomers, I had her up on my chest, and she crawled up to my shoulder, so I was kind of propping her up. I was holding her butt and her hind legs in my hand, pretty much, propping her up. And as I was doing paperwork, I started to smell something, and she pooped in my hand. So, yeah, she pooped in my hand. So I told the groomer, and they gave me a little bag to put it in, and then they gave me wet wipes, and then I finished the paperwork, and then I went to the bathroom and washed my hands. But that was kind of that was a whole ordeal that happened today that was really interesting. I also got the information for the workout for next week and starting next week, so that's going to be fun, and I'm really hoping that I get results. I'm sure I will as long as I do it well. So yeah, that's my update for today. What I wanted to explain is I've been thinking a lot about what I was saying before I got my first letter. If you guys remember, before I got my first letter, I pretty much told you that I wish that my husband was dead. And that's not at all what I was saying. I know I have a hard time explaining things in my videos. Especially when I edit them, I can definitely tell. And as I was editing that video a while back, I was just thinking how do I express it, what I'm really trying to say, but still put it in the video. Like, it was very hard. And I do put a little insert in that video. I remember that saying, like, I don't actually think he's dead. I should just wish he was dead. The situation would be better. But I want to expound on that. I want to really explain that. So, do I wish my husband's dead? Absolutely not. Did I wish my husband was dead? Absolutely not. The reason I said that, which I explain a tiny bit, is just the situation would have been easier for me to handle. And the reason I say that is because when my dad died, it was easy for me to move on because he just died. It was sudden. It wasn't a long drawn out process. It was just suddenness. So it was one day I could, one day I couldn't. And that's how it was, and I had to accept it, and I accepted it, and I got over it decently quick for, my dad just dying. So that's the reason I said it, was because knowing that it wasn't my dad's choice to just stop talking to me and just leave me, that was easier to accept than knowing that Michael did choose to leave me. And he knew that I wouldn't be able to see him, and he knew that I wouldn't be able to talk to him, and he knew my issues on the subject. Him and my dad were the only ones who knew until I started making these videos. So that's what I don't even know if that really explains it. The situation, it would have been easier for me to accept the situation. In my mindset, that's what I believed at that time before I had gotten any letters. I think I was 2 weeks or a week and a half in, and I hadn't heard anything. No, I think I was 2.5 weeks in. I'm not sure, but I hadn't heard anything, and I got no contact from him whatsoever. My mind was going crazy. I was alone. It's the first time that I've been alone in a very long time, and my mind was just kind of it would have been easier to accept. And if you guys remember, I was becoming numb, and I was trying, that's how I was coping with the situation. It's easier to become numb and just accept that they're dead. At least that's how my mindset was, just to accept that he's dead, than accept that he chose to do this to me. And I don't know if that makes it any better. I don't know. At me now, me looking back at the situation, I understand where I was coming from, and I understand why I felt those feelings. I think they were justified for the way I was feeling and what I was being put through and what I was going through. However, with my new insight, knowing what the next few weeks were like, I can look back on it and say that I jumped the gun in thinking that. Obviously the next day I got a letter, and it made all the difference in the world. So I shouldn't have jump to that. I understand why I did. I understand myself and how I work. So I understand how that happened and why that happened. But I also know now that I don't know, it's hard because I post these no matter how bad they look on me. Like I know, because even when I look back at the videos, I just know that, ooh, that sounded harsh, or that didn't sound right. But when you're in the moment, everything's different. And everything hurts worse, and everything is crazy. And you know what my issues are like, so at least you don't really know what they're like, you just know what I told you. So if you watch that video and you think, wow, this girl's crazy, she was just her husband's dead, that's not the case. And like I've also said, don't judge somebody. Well, I said you can judge me, it doesn't really matter. Your opinion's not going to change anything, but you can't put yourself in somebody's shoes if you're not them, if you're not having their thoughts, if you're not going through their same situation, with their same background, with their same mindset, with their same everything. You can never put yourself in somebody's shoes. Like, even if you've experienced something like it, you can never put yourself in somebody's shoes and know exactly how you would feel at the time. It doesn't, you just can't. So, if you have gotten this far watching these videos and you see it, you go back to it and you remember it, just know that that's what really was going through my head. I did not wish that he was dead. I still do not wish he was dead. He is my husband and I love him so freaking much. It was just easier for me to accept at that time. Because my coping mechanism, one of them is to just numb everything out. And is that good? No, I think we can all agree that's not good. But it's how I cope. And I've told you, I try to get off that. I try to get away from that. You have to remember that, like, it's different for everybody. And everybody has different coping mechanisms, and you won't understand it. You won't. So, yeah, I know this is weeks after that video has even been posted, but I'm not posting this for you to relate to me or to you accept me for who I am. I'm posting this to show you what it could be like for you. You might have those feelings. You might actually feel the exact same way that I'm feeling, and I'm not hiding it, I'm not censoring it, I didn't take it out of the video, even though that I don't agree with it now. I'm not taking it out because that's how I really felt, and that's how you might really feel. Another thing I ask you to think about is being 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks, or like I said, I don't remember when the video was, but being that amount of time later, it's different for me now. I've been through it, and I've seen it, and I've gone past it, and I've got to experience more and understand more and have different feelings on more. So I can look back at it. The only difference is I'm not discarding it as something that I don't agree with, because at the time I knew how I felt and I knew what I was saying and I agreed with it. Just because I've changed now doesn't make those feelings any less valid. And that's the whole point of making these videos, is for you to know what you're going to be put through, what you could possibly feel, and know that that's okay. it's okay to feel those things, even though it sounds like it's awful, even though what I said sounds like it's awful to think that way. That's how it was easier for me to accept it. That's all I really have to say on it. I don't know if I cleared anything up or made anything worse. I just felt like I needed to explain it a little bit better, because I'm sure people are going to hear that and say like, wow, this woman really must hate her husband, and I really don't. And he will tell you, I love him to death. I really do. And that's what makes it so hard for me to accept that he chose to leave me. But now that I'm 5 weeks in, I'm accepting it, and I'm learning that he still does love me, and he still does put me on his priority list, even though the military is now his number one. I have to be number two, but I am still on the list, and he still is trying to be the best he can for me, and is trying to give me the best life I can, so that he can. So I'm accepting it, and I'm learning to cope with it in different ways. I don't need to think or wish that it was a different circumstance. And I'm happy that my husband's alive, and I'm happy that it was a choice rather than death. I mean, I'm not happy that he made the choice, but I still get to live with him, and I still get to see him eventually, and I still get to love him and be with him and experience life with him, and I would choose that over losing him now, with what I know now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put the third thing in a separate video, because I think that just needs a separate video. So I could be expecting something soon. If I don't post it already, I don't know. Hope that cleared some things up. It might not have, I don't know. But I know my husband will watch these later when he gets out, and I've been told that my family is gonna watch this. So to my husband, I love you. I don't wish you were dead. I never wished you were dead. You're the love of my life, and every day I will support you, and I will follow you in all of your dreams, and I'm going to try my best to accept everything that comes for us in our future. And I ask that you forgive me for feeling the way that I have. And I pray that we can move forward together, and that we can get over any trial that we have to, that we come across. So, to my family, I don't know what you are feeling. If you are watching these videos, you know the whole timeline on these videos, so you might confront me about it, you might not confront me about it, I don't know, we'll see. But now it's time for me to go, and I'll update everyone tomorrow. I don't know if I made things worse or better.